Hello friends, welcome to Tat Tutors. Today we'll have a discussion about one important topic from muscle biomechanics, which is muscle insufficiency. What is muscle insufficiency? It mainly present in two or more joint muscles. So when the muscle crosses two or more joint, it produces simultaneous contraction or simultaneous movement at all of the joint that it crosses. The muscles soon reaches a point or a length which it cannot longer generate a useful amount of tension, which is known as muscle insufficiency. So it present mainly in two joint muscles. So there are two types of muscle insufficiency in our body. One is active muscle insufficiency and another is passive muscle insufficiency. So what is active muscle insufficiency? When the muscle is actively involved, like when the muscle becomes shortened to a point it cannot generate or maintain active amount of tension. The muscle should be two joint muscles, like a hamstring muscles. When the muscle is contracted, hamstring muscle is contracted, like a function is hip extension and knee flexion. It simultaneously contracted all both the joint, so it fails to produce a useful amount of tension. What is passive insufficiency? When the opposing muscle becomes stretched to the point where it can no longer lengthen and or allow the movement, which is known as passive muscle insufficiency. So passive insufficiency for the hamstring, like stretching of the hamstring, same. When the hip is flexed and knee is extended, further hip flexion is restricted through the hamstring. So in our body there are many two joint muscles, so where we found active and passive insufficiency. First is the hamstring only. We'll see the hamstring active and passive insufficiency. What is active insufficiency for the hamstring? As we saw, when the knee is flexed, hip can't be extended as far, like during the shortening of the hamstring, where the hamstring muscles is actively involved producing contraction in both the joint, but it fails when the muscle is simultaneously producing movement or contraction in both the joint. Passive insufficiency for hamstring: when the knee is extended or lengthening the hamstring occurs, the hip can't be flexed as far because of passive insufficiency of the hamstring. This is a abnormal passive insufficiency and normal passive insufficiency. In abnormal passive insufficiency, a person can't able to touch foot. Another muscles in our body of two joint muscles is rectus femoris. So for the rectus femoris, what is active insufficiency? When the hip is flexed, like a shortening of the rectus femoris, the knee can't be extended as far. Like a function of rectus femoris is hip flexion and knee extension. So the muscles is involved actively producing contraction in both the joint. So it fails during both the joint contraction simultaneously. What is passive insufficiency? It is opposite. When the hip is hyperextended, that means lengthening the muscles, the knee can't be flexed as far. So it is a passive insufficiency for the rectus femoris. Another example is wrist and finger flexors. Active insufficiency for wrist flexors: when the wrist is flexed, the finger can't be flexed all the way. The wrist flexors are involved actively in all the joint, so it fails. What is passive insufficiency for flexors? When the wrist is hyper extended, the finger can't be extended all the way, which is passive insufficiency for wrist and finger flexors. So if we see the in diagram, wrist flexors and wrist extensors, active and passive insufficiency. When the muscle is actively involved, like a wrist is flexed, the finger can't be flexed more as far, and when wrist is extended, the finger can't be extend, it flex due to passive insufficiency of finger flexor. So there is a one thumb rule: when the active insufficiency is present in one group of muscle, this doesn't mean that the opposite group of muscle will suffer from passive insufficiency, until and unless opposite group should have two joint muscles. So this is the idea to present a active and passive muscle insufficiency in front of you all guys. So thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, share to others. Subscribe our channel to forget more updates. Write comment us to improve our services and press the bell icon. Thank you all of you.